Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to go ahead and master the TextView UI component in Android. At the end of each lecture, we are going to have a mini challenge so that you get to start coding on your own, or if we have a design challenge, you're going to design a layout. And then if you want, you can also share your results by posting a discussion in the course. So let's get started. Open your Hello World app and then go to the app folder. So when the project collapses in this way, in order to open it, you just need to click on this project at the left edge and then open the app folder. Go ahead to resources, layout. So here you can see that we are taking a look at the Android view. If it is not Android here, you need to click on this drop down and then click on Android. So go ahead and open the layout, double click on this activity underline main.xml. So now it's gonna open the layout file for us. Next, we're gonna delete these two UI components. So we have a button, just select it and then press on delete. And then switch to the text tab. You can see that as the root layout, we have a linear layout. We are going to learn all about layouts in this section, but for now, let's change this linear layout to relative layout. You might already have the relative layout as the root layout. So if that is the case, don't change anything. Now let's go back to the design tab. Now that we have this layout here, first let me tell you that when you select this relative layout inside this component tree section, make sure that the layout width and the layout height is match parent. I'll talk more about these attributes later. For now, let's just focus on the text view. So inside this palette section, drag a text view into the layout area. As you can see, because we are using a relative layout, we can put this text view wherever we want according or relative to other areas. So for example, if I put the text view here at the top right corner, you can see that it's gonna create some relatives here. We can see that the top margin, for example, here is 29 and the right margin is 35. So this means that this text view is going to be positioned here relative to the top edge and the right edge. So I can put it here, and then I just need to select this text view inside this attribute section that we have at the right sidebar. We have the ID. So the ID is going to be a unique value for your UI component. So what is the job of the ID? We use IDs to interact with our UI component from our Java codes. We'll learn more about this later. Then we have the layout width attribute. Currently, this is layout. The value is wrap content. If I click on this drop down, we have also another value, match parent. So let's select match parent. Now we can see that the width of the text view is changed to match the parent. Now you may ask that what is the parent? The parent refers to the relative layout here. So if you switch to the text tab at the bottom, you can see that we have a relative layout, and inside this relative layout, we have a text view. So there is a parent-child relationship here. The relative layout is the parent of this text view, and this text view is the child of this relative layout. So we have some red lines below some of these attributes, for example, the align parent end. If I hover over this red line here, you can see it says to support older versions than API 17, project specifies 16, you should also add Android layout align parent right, true. So I'll talk more about this attribute later. For now, let's just switch to the design tab. Now that we have this text view, we have the layout width. Now you should already know what the layout width match parent means. This means that when you set the layout width attribute of a UI component such as text view to match parent, its width is going to match the parent, which is going to be the relative layout in this case. And you can see that it is also considering the margins. For example, we have a right margin of 35. If you want to, you can change this value later. But we have also another value that is called wrap content. Wrap content is going to wrap the content, the text view, around its content. So we have a text view and we have a text inside that text view. So when we say wrap content, it's going to specify the width of this text view according to its content. So for example, take a look at this text attribute. I can write whatever value here. Okay, so for example, a long text, and then I just press an enter key on my keyboard. You can see that now the width of this text view is actually now much more larger. So that is what the wrap content means. But if you change the layout width into match parent instead of wrap content, then it's just gonna match the parent here. So let me delete this text view, the value of this text. Now we have the layout height, which is the same as the layout width, but it is going to specify the height of the text view, which is now the value is wrap content. If I want to, I can change it to match parent. So you can see that the height of this text view is now increased to match the parent. So let's give it a text. For example, this is Android app development. Now I can also set a background color to this text view so that I would be able to see that how much height this text view takes. So inside this attribute section, we have this search icon. I can search for a specific attribute. For example, I want to change the background color of this text view, and I don't know how to do that. So one way is take a look at the documentation of the text view. So I'm going to open my web browser, and I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at the documentation of the TextView UI component. So I'm gonna search for TextView Android. So then at the top of the page, we have this link, TextView Android Developers. I'm gonna click on this link. You can also enter this URL that we have here. So it is developer.android.com/reference/android/widget/textview. So here you can see a description about the TextView UI component, and it says a user interface element that displays text to the user. So here we are interested in a specific attribute in order to change the background color of our text view. So in this way, if you are using Mac, you just need to hold down the command key and then press on the F key in order to search for a specific keyword inside the page. But if you are using Windows, you need to hold the Control plus F and then search for a value. I'm gonna search for background so that maybe I could find something to change the background color of my text view. So here we have something, but I'm gonna just search again in order maybe to find out the background attribute here or something that is going to help me to specify the background. So you can see that it's not helpful enough for our specific problem. Maybe if I wanted to know what is the specific function or how a function in Android works, that would be much more helpful to take a look at the documentation. But for an attribute, I would prefer to search online. I'm gonna open a new tab. I'm gonna search for how to change the background color of text view in Android. So now that I searched online, you can see that the top link that appeared here is a Stack Overflow link, and I'm gonna click on this link. The Stack Overflow is a site that is going to solve 99% of your programming problems. It's very helpful. So take a look at the answers here. So someone asks a question and others are going to answer the question. So let's take a look at the top answer. It says, below is snippet might help you where txt, for example, channel name is an object of TextView. So here you can see that it is setting the background color of a text view by calling the set background color function. So here it is in Java. By using this code in our Java code, we can change the background color of our text view. So now we are sure that we could somehow set the background color of our text view. I can go back to my Android Studio, and here you can see that we have this search icon, and I'm going to search for the background attribute. So I need to first select the text view and then search for the background. So here you can see that when I search for the background, it doesn't show me anything because at the bottom we have this option. It says view all attributes. So sometimes when you search for a specific attribute, it's not going to show you because you are not seeing all of the attributes that are related to that component. So you need to click on this view all attributes and then search for a specific attribute. I'm going to search for the background attribute. So here it is the value. And then if you hover over this background here, we have these three dots. I can click on it and then I can go to color tab, just click on this color tab. And then here we have add new resource, click on new color value. So I can choose a color, for example, red. I can click on OK. Now the background color of our text view is changed to red. Instead of choosing a color in this way, we can also use RGB values. So we can go online. So let me open my web browser, and then I can just search for RGB colors. So here we have this link, rapidtables.com. I'm going to click on it. So then if I, for example, hover over a specific color, we can get the hex code. So for example, I want this color as the background color of my text view. So take a look at the hex code that we have here. This value starts with a hashtag and the value that is inside the box. So now we have 33FF99. I'm going to go to Android Studio. So for the background attribute, I'm going to put the hashtag first, 33FF99, and then I'm going to press an enter key on my keyboard. So now the background color is changed. So we can use the hex code here, and we have also the RGB. So RGB stands for red, green, blue. So we put the hashtag, and then for the red value, the first two numbers is going to be for the red value. So for example, the red value is going to be 34. The next two values, the next two numbers, is going to be for the green color. So for the green color, I'm going to put number 18. And the final two numbers is for the blue color. So for the blue color, I'm going to use 91. And I'm going to press an enter key on my keyboard in order to see what happens. So now this is the result. Okay. And if you want a solid color, an intense red color, for example, you put hashtag. And for the red color, for the first two numbers, you use F. And if you don't want to have the green color, you use 00. And if you don't want the blue color, you put 00. And then you press an enter key on your keyboard. Now the background color is changed to red. So you can also change the color of the text. So I'm going to click on this X of this search here. And then, for example, I want to change the color of the text. So I'm going to search for the text color. So here we have an attribute for the text color. And for example, I want the text color to be white. So I put hashtag FFF. So now the text is white. And let's also take a look at some other attributes. We have already taken a look at the ID, layout width, layout height. We have the layout margin, which is going to specify the outer space. You can see that the top margin of this text view is 29, right? So this is the outer space of this text view. We have a margin for the all, all means for the top, right, bottom, and left. So for example, I can put 10 dp. So now you may ask that what is the dp value? So let's go online and let's see what is the dp. So I'm going to open my web browser and I'm going to search for what is dp in Android. So here we have again a Stack Overflow link. It says you should always use dp units when defining your application's UI. So the same as we did here for the margin value of our text view, to ensure proper display of your UI on screens with different densities. So now let's click on this link in order to see a more descriptive explanation of some of these values. For example, if you have px, px stands for pixels, corresponds to actual pixels on the screen. We have inches, we have pt in Android. pt stands for points. So a point, you can see that it says 1/72 of an inch based on the physical size of the screen. We have dp, or deep density independent pixels, an abstract unit that is based on the physical density of the screen. So this is very important. This is a very great feature of Android, that it doesn't matter what is the physical density of the screen. It doesn't matter how much resolution a screen has. When you put a UI component inside a screen, it is going to be compatible with different screen resolutions. So it would not have problems with big resolutions or low resolutions. These units are relative to a 160 dpi screen. So 1 dp is 1 pixel on a 160 dpi screen. The ratio of dp to pixel will change with the screen density. So this is very important. The ratio of dp to pixel will change with the screen density, but not necessarily in direct proportion. The compiler accepts both deep and dp, though dp is more consistent with sp. So let's take a look at the sp here. sp is scale independent pixels. This is like the dp unit, but it is also scaled by the user's font size preference. So we use sp in order to specify the font size of our texts inside our screen or layout. So instead of using dp for the font size, we use sp. This is a little bit like the dp, but it is scaled by the user's font size preference. It is recommended you use this unit when specifying font sizes, so they will be adjusted for both the screen density and user's preference, because users can change the font size of their Android device. So let's go back to Android now that you know about these units in Android. Now you may understand that why we use the 10 dp here as the margin value of all directions. So let's delete the value 29 for the top margin. We have also the bottom. So for example, for the bottom, I can use 30 and it's going to put the dp here automatically. But because we have used the 10 dp as the value of all, I'm going to delete it. So now this bottom margin is now implemented. So here we can see this button. We have the left, the right. So feel free to play around with the margin attribute if you like. Next, go to the padding attribute. So the padding attribute is going to specify the inner space of a component. So for example, this text view has a text. The text view is the parent of this text inside of it, and the text is the child of this text view. So the padding is going to specify the space between the text and the view. So first, let me tell you that all of these UI components that you can see inside this palette section, all of them are views. So this means that they are directly or indirectly inherit from the view class. So I'll talk more about inheritance and classes in Java later. But for now, just know that all of these components that you can see here are views. So now we have this text view, and I'm gonna set a value for the padding all. I'm gonna say, for example, 50 dp. So I put p instead of dp. I need to change it to dp. You can see now that the place of this text inside of this text view is changed. This is called the inner space. So for example, I want to have a left space of 100 dp. Now you can see that the inner space from the left is changed to 100 dp. So feel free to play around with this value if you like. And the next value is the theme. So you can specify the theme of your text view. So for example, I have this theme and I can click on this three dots button. So, and then we have the project, and we have different kinds of themes here that I'm going to talk about later. But for now, let's just choose one. Let's choose this one, base.textappearance.appcompath.title. Let's choose this one. And now we can see that the theme of our text view is changed a little bit. If I want to, I can change it again. I can go to, for example, this time to Android, and I can choose another theme here. For example, I can choose text appearance default.widget. I can choose this one. Now you can see that the theme is changed. But now let's run our application and let's see that everything works fine. Because sometimes when you work with these attributes, some of them may be private and the Android might show you an error. So you should be careful whenever you change something on the screen or you write a code. Make sure to run the app and see that specific change that you made works. So when I tried to run the app, now the application crashes. So there is something wrong with our project. I'm going to go back to Android Studio. So the first thing that we should do is go to the logcat. And I'm going to just go to the top. So we should take a look at the red lines here in order to see the errors. If you want to, you can filter the errors. So here it says verbose. I can change it to error in order to only see the errors. And I'm going to take a look at the errors that happened here. We should see something called, for example, exception, or here we have a runtime exception. And then let me scroll to the right in order to see what happened. It says that there is something wrong with the XML file, error inflating the class text view. So let me click on this line. It says that there is something wrong with our XML file. So we should go back to our layout, and it says that there is something wrong with the text view. So maybe it is because of the theme attribute that I used here. So I'm going to delete this attribute, okay, and I'm going to run the app again. Because I told you, sometimes when you play around with these attributes, you may change a private value, okay? So here I changed the text appearance, and I used a private value that I shouldn't use. And that's why the error happened. I'll talk more about styles and themes later, but for now, just know that this is how you debug. I deleted the value that I used here. Sometimes your XML code has a bug and you don't know what went wrong. So you should be careful. Now that we have this theme attribute, we have the background that you know already about. We have some other attributes, text color, we have the alpha. So the alpha is a value between 0 and 1, and it specifies how opaque your view or layout looks. So for example, if I use 0.3 as the alpha attribute of our text view, now you can see that it is opaque. If I use 0.8, it is now less opaque. So this is useful when you want to put a text view on an image view or an image button, so that the image below the text view is visible. We have auto-link, we have some other attributes that we are going to take a look at later. And then, for example, we have the clickable attribute and all of these attributes that we are going to use. And then you can see that all of them are related to the text view. So for example, we have the text size, and you know already that the value that you specify for the text size should be in SP. So I'm going to use 30 SP. Now the text size is increased. We have the visibility attribute. So I can specify whether I want my text view to be visible or not. I can change it to invisible. Now the text view is invisible inside our layout. I can change it to gone. So when you say gone, it is not on the screen anymore. It is gone. But when you say invisible, it is on the screen, but it is not visible. That's a minor difference between these two values. So then the final attribute that I want to talk about here is the gravity attribute. So make sure to select this text view. And first, let me give you a definition about the gravity attribute. The gravity attribute is going to specify the position of a child according to its parent. So take a look at this text view. It has a child, which is going to be the text. This is Android app development. So I want to position this text at the center of my text view. Make sure that your text view layout width and height is match parent, the value of these two attributes. Now I want to put the text at the center of my text view. How it is done? By using the gravity attribute. So according to its definition, we specify the position of the child according to its parent. Let's search for the gravity attribute. We have also another attribute called layout gravity that I'm going to talk about later. For now, let's just focus on the gravity. And here, when you open the gravity, you can see all of these values. So for example, I want the text, the child, to be at the bottom. I'm gonna choose this bottom. Or I want it to be at the top. So I'm gonna unselect this bottom attribute and I'm gonna use the top. Or I'm gonna use it at the left. So it is not working at the left because the text of this text view has a padding attribute. We set the left padding of this text to be another value. So if I click on this X, you can see that for this padding, we have 100 dp as the left. So that's why when we wanted to put the text at the left of our text view, it didn't work because it is conflicting with the padding attribute. So that's another thing that you should consider when you are designing your layouts. Make sure that your attributes do not conflict with each other. So if it sounds confusing, don't worry about that. You're going to learn all about this later and you're going to master all of these components in this course. So let's get back to our gravity attribute. I'm going to search for it. So I want to, for example, put it at the right. It is not conflicting with the right attribute because there is no padding right value. Or I want to center this text center vertical. I'm gonna select this option. Now it works. I'm gonna, for example, choose center horizontal. So it is somehow already horizontal, but because of this left attribute, you can see that it is kind of conflicting. But let's select another value. Let's choose the center. Let's uncheck this center horizontal and let's go ahead and click on center. Now this text is at the center of our text view, but it is also considering the left padding. So if I go ahead and delete the value of this left padding here, now we can see that our text is centered horizontal inside our text view. So now that you know all about the text views in Android, it's time to do our challenge. So let me delete this text view. Now I want you to design a layout like this. So here it is, the layout that you're going to design. A text view with this text. Take a look at the background color, the text color. So you should already know how to design this layout. When you designed this layout, make sure to share your results with other students of this course so that they will get motivated by your design. And when you're done, you can continue watching this tutorial and see how I am going to solve this problem. So I'm going to drag a text view and I'm going to put it at the center horizontal and center vertical here. So then I'm going to change the text to be I am an Android developer. So by the way, if you want to, you can go ahead and switch to the text tab. So then you can just click on the preview button at the right edge here. So I told you that whatever XML codes that you put here is going to be reflected on the layout. So for example, we have this text view and I want to specify a text for the text attribute. So I'm gonna type in here, for example, I'm gonna type in here, I am an Android developer. And you can see that on the design layout, we have this text. Or you can also just create a UI component inside your XML code. I can just delete this text view entirely. I'm gonna select this text view and I'm gonna delete it. And I'm gonna create a new text view. I'm gonna open a tag and I'm gonna type in here text view. So if you are comfortable with writing codes in order to design your layout, you can do that. So for example, for the layout width, I'm gonna type in here wrap content as the value, and also for the layout height, wrap content. And then I can use another attribute. So here it is the layout width, the layout height, and then we need the text. So I can use the text attribute, and then I wanted the text to be I am an Android developer. And by the way, this is not the proper way to specify a text for our UI component, because it is not translatable to other languages. Later in this course, we are going to learn a new way to specify a text for our UI components, so that whenever we want to translate our app to other languages, we would do that without any problems. But when we hard code a text for the text attribute here, you can see that it is showing us a warning that it says hard coded string should use @ string resource. So I'll talk more about this later. For now, just ignore this warning. Next, I want this text view to be at the center, centered horizontally and centered vertically. So there is an attribute for that, and this is called center. Just type in here center, and you can take a look at these attributes. The first one is layout center horizontal. If you implement this attribute, it is going to horizontally center our text view. So I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to set the value true as the value of this attribute. So now our text view, you can see, is centered horizontally. Or if I delete this value and instead I type in here, for example, center again, and this time if I choose center vertical, true, so inside the codes, you just need to put the value true. Now we can see that our text view is centered vertically. So notice that this attribute is relative or related to the relative layout. This is very important. If I use, for example, a constraint layout instead of relative layout, using this center vertical attribute may not work. Okay, so make sure to consider that. And let me delete this value again, and I can just search for center in parent is the attribute that we are looking for, center in parent, and I'm going to set the value true inside the codes. And here you can see that our text view is centered in the parent. And I think writing XML codes is much more understandable, but sometimes you may not know what to do. So for example, you may not know about this center in parent attribute. So what should we do? We should go online and search for this attribute. So for example, I can open my web browser. So let me close these tabs. And this time I want to search for centering layout in relative layout in XML code. So you need to search something like this, and then let's click on the top link. So we should take a look at the answers here. So it says that, for example, we have the gravity attribute controls the appearance within the text view. So we have another attribute, it says center horizontal. So you should see something like this. And then if you want to, you can also take a look at the other answers. So this one says use this value, center horizontal. So that's the value that I showed you here. For example, if I type in here center, you can see that we have the center horizontal and the center vertical, right? So you should be taking a look at these attributes. So for example, this one, take a look at this answer. It says use layout center in parent true. Okay, so if you use this value, you would get the desired result. So this is how you find answer to your programming or design problems. So hopefully you get the idea that how we can start coding our application and creating the app of our dreams. Or maybe you are working in a company and the employer asks you to perform a specific task. So you should be able to find the solutions online. You may not know all of the solutions or answers on your own, so you are going to search for them. You are not going to give up. You're going to find the answers and implement them and get the desired results. So now that we specified the center in parent true, now I'm going to change the background color. So I'm going to type in here background, and then so for the background color, I want the background to be blue. For example, I'm going to put hashtag RGB0000FF. And I want the text color to be white, for example. So I'm going to type in here text color attribute. And again, I put hashtag FFF. So this is the text. I want to increase the text size. So I'm going to type in here text size attribute. And inside the quotes, I want to put 50 SP. Right? Or I want the text inside of this text view to be at the center. So I need to use the gravity attribute, and I'm going to use the center here. So let me put an exclamation mark at the end of our text. So I can also specify a margin value. So I'm going to type in here margin all. Let's choose the margin all here, layout margin, and then I want to specify the value 10 dp as the margin. So this is how I went about our challenge. You could be creative. So for example, I wanted your text view to be at the center horizontal and center vertical. I wanted you to change the text size, text color, background color, all of the things that you've learned in this tutorial. So in the next video, we are going to master the button UI component in Android. If you have any questions, please post a discussion in the course, and then I will do my best to answer all of your questions. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.